very much. Wait, wait. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the judges, teachers, guests, and participants of Fully Residential School International Symposium 2023. Now, I'd like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Mr. Aman bin Hussein, IPJK Datuk Razali Ismail, Kuala Nerus, Terengganu. The second judge is Mr. Mut Farhan Adnan from Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. The third judge is Ms. Shafika Amira binti Saleh from Sekolah Menengah Sains Pasir Putih. And I'm Nur Ainin Sofiah binti Jaafar from SBPI Integrasi Selanda, while the timekeepers, Arina Nafisa binti Khairul Nizam and Muhammad Hasif bin Suhaimi are from Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Mahmud, Terengganu. Allow me to read the rules. First and foremost, each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant. The presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. Thirdly, the duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. Fourthly, the bell will ring once at the 9 minutes and twice at the 10 minutes. Lastly, a question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Let's hear from the first team, BESIKTAŞ SAKIP SABANCI Anatolian High School, Istanbul, to present.
Hello dear judges and participants. I am Sena Varda from BEŞIKTAŞ SAKIP SABANCI Anatolian High School. Today we are going to talk about how youth education can achieve peace in global disasters. Now my friend Hale is going to speak.
Thanks, Sana. I am Şafak Tarzan and here's our team. Our advisor teacher is Ayşe Şule Kılıç and our technical manager is Ece Kılıç. Today we're going to talk about definitions, research methodology, active methodology, holistic approach, why is youth skillful in peace building in times of distress, trauma interventions, we as Kazan Kardeş, and conclusion. My friend Irene will talk about this.
Let's have a look at the definitions to understand our topic better. Youth. While the United Nations defines youth as persons between the ages of 15 and 24, UNESCO recognizes that youth is a fluid, ever-changing category which varies according to country and region. We couldn't find an exact definition to disaster management, but according to UNESCO, the organization, planning, and application of measures preparing for, responding to, and recovering from disasters is disaster management. Trauma interventions refer to the various approaches and strategies used to help individuals who have experienced trauma cope with and recover from their traumatic experiences. According to UNESCO, holistic approach is an approach that seeks fully activate all aspects of the learner's personality, intellect, emotions, imagination, body for more effective and comprehensive learning. My friend Hale will talk about research methodology.
Thanks, Hale. For research, we utilize sources online such as magazines, essays, and websites. Also, we had an interview with the chair of sociology in İSTANBUL Technical University, Hasan Karataş, which helped us a lot understand the topic better through the eyes of the expert. A part of this interview will be shown later in this presentation.
Active methodology. Another name for active is participatory, as we're going to see in the next slides. Here, passive Here, passive and active teaching methods are shown in the pyramid. There is a point to remember that demonstration is added to active learning methods by Yale University with not only graphics and maps, but 3D models and online interactive games. What we have seen until now. I want to show you some examples of passive learning methods that had been practiced but didn't give enough efficiency as tested from past experiences and experiments. Disaster-related lectures, evacuation plans on the walls, emergency kits, manuals, etc. What we should do instead of disaster-related lectures. Or in addition, we can say. Starting with emergency teams, raising and having emergency teams who are training regularly in each school grade, equally divided into each floor, would help the students who are in shock and need some guidance during crisis. They can take radio communication and first aid education. They would be the leaders in evacuation and to get to a safe place. What we should do instead of annual earthquake practice? The answer is several practices. Practices are critical, whether they are with administrators or not. They have crucial roles in the preparation for disasters. However, doing more than one practice in a year would give the students more benefits rather than an annual one. For example, there can be various practices done to illustrate one strict, which is directed by firefighters or police forces, let's say. 2 semi-strict, directed by teachers and principals. 3 non-strict, without an administrator, everything done by students, or perhaps with the lead of emergency teams. Especially because the teachers and principals number is less than the number of students in a building, it is more likely for students to be alone by themselves in disaster moments, and they should know what to do to evacuate the building and to get to a safe place, since the teachers might be in danger or be helping the ones who are in danger the most. Holistic approach. What does it mean? Shall we have a look at the Cambridge Dictionary's definition? Dealing with or treating the whole of something or someone and not just a part. It means that we should not only take care of students' physical needs, such as water, food, shelter, clothing. We should consider students' psychological education as well. They should know what can happen in such disaster moments, which can cause human loss and perhaps loss of relatives, friends, and family. Thanks, and now my friend is going to speak.
Thanks, Anna. I'm going to talk about why we set hopes on the youth. Why are they vital piece of peace building that we can make the best of with education? First, they have the ability to use social media as an effective communication tool. During the rescue efforts of the major earthquake that hit Turkey on February 6th, technology played a huge part in finding the people who were stuck under rubble and also in relief efforts. Students from rest of the country created a unity to help the relief efforts, which brings us to our second point, their organization skills. In times of distress, youth puts everything else aside and prioritizes solidarity and effective organization for the ones in need of help. Next, youth has a more positive outlook towards the future. They focus on solutions rather than problems. They know that they have the power to change the world if they want to. They are tired of discrimination and constant conflict. Lastly, they create a sense of self and group effectiveness. Since we live in a society, group effectiveness is vital in every aspect of human life. Individuals can achieve great things that they can't reach individually, bringing each other up. Additionally, individual psychology and psychological resilience plays a significant role in minimizing post-disaster trauma, and that's why self-effectiveness is also important. My friend Hale will talk about the rest.
Thanks, Hayden. Trauma intervention. As Hasan Kardeş said in the interview we made, youth is the hope. We should take advantage of it during and after the natural disasters. But of course, we cannot ask them to be hopeful every time. They could have lost a family member or an important, meaningful thing for them. This can cause some traumas, and you may not take any help from them with these traumas. Yet, with the help of disaster management education, We can minimize effects that can lead to these traumas and trauma effects after the natural disasters. Trauma interventions. In order to handle a disaster situation, 5 different interventions should be promoted. 1. A sense of security. 2. Peace. 3. A sense of both self and group effectiveness. 4. Solidarity. And 5. Love. We ask Hasan Karataş. Nature resources may be misinterpreted as a source of conflict, and interventions could inadvertently impact actual conflict dynamics at play. How can we minimize man-made conflicts over nature resources through youth education?
This last question, as someone who deals with history, I would say that is a bit idealistic, a bit optimistic. This fight over natural resources between different groups, sometimes between different countries, some other times between corporations or ethnicities, has been a fact in the history of humanity. But in the past 50 years, we find youth education helping out a bit, but not still quite successful. At some point, it is not the youth who makes these decisions, but more senior people, who takes political actions, who decides on the law. Youth, on the other hand, can organize politically and push their leaders, political leaders, not to engage in wars, but instead sharing these resources. We see a glimmer of hope, some examples from recent migrant crisis in Europe. We all know that people, especially from underdeveloped countries, are migrating to Europe, and European leaders trying to raise the walls and keep them outside Europe. But at the same time, we also find groups helping the migrants, and most of them are young people who have hope and who look or seek for a world that is more equitable, which distributes natural resources fairly and doesn't let one country or one people dominate the other. But it's a long shot. There is a very long way to go, and education perhaps is the only way to solve these problems. This last question.
To sum up, our research reveals that youth has a significant role in dealing with natural disasters. Due to this fact, youth should be educated about disaster management to take precautions and be prepared for the natural disasters. Thanks for listening, and here are our resources.
Thank you, we are done.
Now, I would like to invite participants to ask questions. I would like to invite the judges for questions.
Okay, good evening in case of you guys. Good morning. Yeah, a very good presentation. Congratulations. Thank you very much. A very interesting point of view, a very interesting perspective of how youth can be used to maintain peace. My question is, okay, first of all, there's a statement behind it. The usage of social media during time of crisis is both good and bad. So you have to manage them wisely. So my question is, what can teenagers do to prepare themselves emotionally and mentally in case of an emergency or natural disaster? Okay. So my question is, what can teenagers do to prepare themselves emotionally and mentally in case of an emergency or a natural disaster? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. The thing is, we had an event in the last February 6th, and all youths use their skills and hope to help the ones who are in need. The thing is, the ones who are in need was not only elderly people, but kids and teenagers. So us youth knew what they needed, and they needed some love, some caring, some empathy, and we did what we can do to help them get out of the depression they had. The thing is, the only thing that can be helpful when things happen is empathy, but beforehand, we should know what can happen and be prepared if we lost one or if our friends lost one, because they're all same. We lost a member of our family, not physically, but practically. Thank you.
Sorry, we cannot hear if you are talking right now. We cannot hear. You were asking a question, I think, but we couldn't hear.
We still can't
we heard
hear.
something. Now we can hear my voice. No, we cannot hear your question.
Okay. What about
Okay.
now? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, you said okay.
We had issue with, okay. All right. So during your presentation, you have actually addressed, you suggested to implement something that is similar to what we have as fire drill in Malaysia, one that prepares the students to get ready during the causes of disasters or, fire or earthquake perhaps, right? So I am just curious if that suggestion has actually been implemented in your school, and if it has, could you please enlighten us about if it has been proven to be more effective? Thank you.
So the thing is, we in Turkey are having clubs that are specifically for disaster preparedness, let's say, since we had another major earthquake in 2000s or 1999, and since then we are having some clubs to prepare us for possible scenarios, simulations. We were already practicing it, but it is somehow not efficient enough. So I personally did some research and added some points into emergency teams who are equally divided into floors. Because in the past we only have still one team, which is unknown, which is not really stable in a floor, and the other students need to know what to do by themselves. So I thought that we needed various teams in each school grade and floor that can help other students as well. So I I say I doubled or tripled the amount of teams.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Now, I would like to invite KABATAS ERKEK LISESI, Istanbul, Turkey.
Hello. Hello, can you hear us? Sound check. Ladies, I think they're getting ready. I can see.
Can we start now?
Yes.
Okay, you may start.
Okay, we may start. Okay, ladies.
Yes.
Yield the floor. Oh, sorry. It says this studio is full. Try again. So one of my students cannot enter. Her name is Ece. Could you please let her in? Ece.
We'll take a look.
It says the studio is full.
We'll take a look at it.
We have Berra, Elif Naz, Zehra, and Ece in the group. So let's try again. Entering the studio. Okay. Yes, I guess she's in now. Okay, she's in. Okay.
Okay, we may
Ladies,
start
you
now.
can start. Yes, okay, we're starting.
This is our consent. Who are we? What is peace? Importance of the present situation, how should it be, what will change, plus solution ideas, and final. Next. Next page, please. Okay, first of all, what is peace?
Teacher, Miss, can
There
you
are,
please? Thank you. Please continue.
I couldn't hear you well. Okay, I'll continue now. What is peace?
You may continue.
There are many various ways to define peace. For example, a state or period which is there is no war or lack of violence, maybe. But it is not only about war or violence. It can be adapted to any part of our lives or anything we can ever think of. It means a better for both us and the next generation, our beloved children or grandchildren. Yep, move on to the next page. Um, what is the role and importance of youth? We all agree on youth importance, and none of us can deny the flexible nature of young people. First and most importantly, they follow recent developments and news more closely because they use social media more actively. Plus, they have a wider perspective on some topics, including peace, because young people have the opportunity to interact with people that have different ideas via social networks. Besides, nowadays, teenagers have many different activities and events such as debating tournaments, events, EYPs, and etc. that they can brainstorm on a specific topic and improve their knowledge at the same time. Consequently, their opinions are shaped as a synthesis of this variety. Even though people are way more experienced and are really important in peace building as well. Some of them still struggle to adapt the new developments mentioned. Besides, they do not make enough effort to learn the young generation's opinions because they have some prejudice about teenagers lately and are likely not to take teenagers seriously, most probably because of their age, and it's generally because of the fact that they think teenagers are always surfacial or careless about serious issues and do not have sufficient ideas or maybe qualified enough personal views. Um, what we meant by them being stuck in the past is that when most of them were younger, they were suppressed and not given enough attention as a young individual because of some factors caused by era or social problems of the age they were living in. As a result, they do not ponder enough about young people's role. They were not aware of their own importance as the young generation of their time, and now they're not aware of the importance of new generation and new young minds. We cannot blame them for this. Uh, they did what they have seen. Um, as we mentioned, you can go on the same next slide. As we mentioned, young people have a great potential to attain peace with their fresh minds and huge imagination. However, they are not given enough right to speak, and their words are not taken into that much consideration because of the reason we stated. Besides, they did not have enough opportunities to even discover their own ideas, their own importance, and because of the lack of attention and effort given, we can go to the next slide and Letta.
Thank you, Reja. So we introduced the recent situation of peace to you. Now, the question is, how should the relation be? As you comprehend, most of you are not aware of the importance of peace because they haven't been raised on the borders of peace. If they had, they would be more cautious, more aware. The present generation of time should behave according to peace, which includes being attentive, tolerant, honest, respectful, and etc. But how could they know if what's taught right now is not enough? We should show the youth the things they're capable of. They're young, they have fresh minds, their imagination is so much and productive. They should know their capabilities, and so is we. Therefore, we, the citizens of this world, should be able to teach and also be taught about peace. Next page. And let's have a look at the results when peace is restored. First of all, it decreases the results of wars. For example, about homeless people. As you know, when there's peace, there's no wars mostly. And there's no wars, there will be less homeless people because wars are the top reasons why people are homeless mostly. By this way, people will have the chance to live more peaceful and secure lives. Furthermore, people will start to make healthier communication and the respect between them will increase so that they will understand each other better and find solutions easier. And this will affect whole world because the last point is about global problems. As we all know, there are some problems which affect all countries and all world, like climate change. Everyone should do something about this, and when they communicate better with peace, it makes problems to be solved easier because they will be understanding each other. Thank you. Now I'm leading the stage to Ece.
Now we're talking about possible solution ideas. First of all, parents of present youth should be literate. What we meant here is that the parents should be aware of the potential that their children have. They need to notice the importance of the young generation and how they can direct their younger ones with the experiences they have, because we mentioned they're way more experienced than the young generation, and because parents are the biggest and most significant factor affecting young individuals' mindsets. Besides, the early age are really important as well, and parents have direct influence on their child, especially when they're kids. Second is about young people themselves. They need to recognize their own significance and shape their perspectives by using the facts or maybe the ideas they achieve from school or any other platforms, especially from school, because school is one of the most vital factors if influencing them in their early age school years. And for this, they need to be provided with a relevant place, especially in their schools, because school years have a vital effect on building their own mindsets. And as we stated, to open it a bit more, they need a place where they should push their limits and be encouraged to ponder about peace, such topics as peace related to our topic, peace, as we acknowledge that they are not generally likely to sit and think hard on the questions what it means to me, or what do I think and what I can do here. Um, Now I'm moving on with part one. This may seem a bit like a basic and cliche solution, but it's common because it should be considered as some place for nearly every case. As they found out their importance, they should also be informed correctly about what peace building is and what can be done about specific problems. And of course, about these specific problems, they should be literate and teach as well. This specific, what we mean by this specific problem is uh, like the more regional problems that have direct effect on young people living there. Because as we all know, the people who experience it directly can find more effective solutions because they can make empathy easier and they know how it feels or what they see in. And the last one, related to last solution we mentioned, case competitions and ideathons numbers can be increased. These competitions are helping young people to voice their ideas, explain and express them better. Moreover, possible solutions they found about specific problems can be improved by experts and become really useful in the end, because they give us the seed thoughts, and we will grow it to a bigger tree. The experienced ones will grow it to a bigger green tree. Besides, competitiveness in these competitions can also improve young minds by enabling them to force their minds and brainstorm. Consequently, it will increase the effectiveness as well as it improves these young minds and uh, give us these more seeds I mentioned. Next. Thank you for your listening and your attention.
Now, I would like to invite participants to ask questions.
Hello, my name is Abang Shah from the Academy. I have a simple question. You were saying that giving lectures, specified on giving lectures like focus on youth empowerment and all that stuff. What kind of lectures would you give? Like, is it based on KSSM subjects or what exactly? Thank you.
Um, Thank you for your question. First of all, we mentioned about like two lectures. First of all, the parents one, and the lectures we will give to young, that what is peace building and what can they do. We wanted to specify it a bit more with these regional problems that belong to one specific region, because every little region have their own and important issues or problems, and these young people are experiencing them in first hand. So we will mention them a bit more about these problems that we will want them to consider about and ponder on it. What would you do? What did you feel? And what do you want? What do you want to do, or what do you want others to do? But you can do it yourself as well. We want them to know it. We want them to realize their importance and their power. I hope I could explain it well. I thank you again for your question.
I would like to invite a judge for a question.
Hello, can you hear me? Sure.
Yes, we can.
Okay, looking at your possible solution ideas there, uh, the last one state that increasing the numbers of events such as competition or ideas in aim of giving young people opportunity to voice their idea. So, in your opinion, how far do you think that the voice of youngsters can be heard? Thank you.
I couldn't hear it well. Could you please repeat it?
Okay, can you hear me? Tia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, again, looking at your possible solution idea there, the last one state that increasing the numbers of events such as competition or ideas in aim of giving young people opportunity to voice their idea. So, how far do you think that the voice of youngsters can be heard?
Okay. First of all, we wanted to. We think that these case competitions are, like some of them are international ones, or even the regional ones has these finals or the upper levels. These kinds of events like EYPs in Europe, but it can be made an international one or regional ones to international ones, because these competitions really provide young people to a place that they can think about a question, and they can have a direct information about these problem given, because in the internet there's many false and incorrect information, and they can be affected in a wrong way easily, and they can be manipulated in the internet. But in this competition, if we express them right solution, problem right, and give them the appropriate information needed, and let them think, and giving it a bit encouragement, reinforcement, and it will increase them. It will help them to be motivated, and they will feel free there more. And we really believe that it will increase this young minds motivations. So it's a real important place, because internet forums or these such places are not that much visible because if you had a price, it's more visible to if you go somewhere that you can say we found it in this competition or in this idea song, and we think it will work because we discussed upon it with many teenagers or many other adults experts. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you for the marvelous presentation. Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Seri Puteri to present. Proactive Proactive, innovative, and effective, coming all the way from the heart of Kuala Lumpur to Kuala Nerus today, we bring you Political Education Kundi 18 under the umbrella of our sub-team Youth Empowerment towards Peace Building. Before I start, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening. I bid to the honorable judges, wise-time people, not to forget moderator, rapporteur, as well all of you lovely audience present today. Please let me introduce ourselves. I am Sophia Izdiha as a presenter.
And I am Nur Adriana Dahlia as the reporter.
And I am Nurin Shara as the moderator. And behind the scene, we have our technical assistant, one Amra Sabrina. We are the representatives of Sri Putri Science Secondary School. This will be our presentation agenda for today. By the end of our presentation, we will ensure that all of our agenda is accomplished. Before we continue with our presentation, let us enlighten you with our objectives. First, to know if the youth will be voting towards peace building. Second, to know whether youths are ready to vote. Third, to explain on how Undi 18 can empower youth. Last but not least, to determine whether youth will go out and vote when the time comes. Ladies and gentlemen, the words on the screen might raise questions from the audience, but these words will explain to you what is peace building. Peace building is a long-term process to reform all institutions. This process will involve each and every individual that is affected, and of course, by the name of peace building, it will only involve non-violent ways. Peace building will be able to resolve justice, transforming relationships, supporting people, and the most important part is to end direct conflict.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me enhance your understanding about the definition of youth empowerment. Youth empowerment is a process where young people are encouraged to take charge of their life, make decisions, as well as determining the country's future. Now, let's talk about the importance of peace building. Please bear in mind that the reason of peace building may be differ for every country based on the issue faced by them. For Malaysia, peace building is important to resolve minor issues peacefully, to maintain peace, or in another word, to resolve issue without violence or dissatisfaction from any party. Other than that, peace building is also important to maintain stability in all aspects, including politics, economy, and social, as well as to prevent future violence.
Turning our attention now to the history of Undi 18. Undi 18 is first started by Malaysian civil society organization that took the idea for a student movement that focuses on Malaysian youth political empowerment, voter education, and electoral reform. The initiative of Undi 18 aims to give the 18 years old the right to vote and run for office. Two Malaysian students who studied in the US, Karma Pillai and Kiara Rusdi, came up with the idea as they were motivated by the democratic system found in developed nations like the US and Korea. They believed that behind this well-planned structure, there must be a logical reasoning, and they found that by altering the legislative and electoral system in our country, we can make democracy more inclusive with young people, hence the Undi 18. Without further ado, let me explain to you on how Undi 18 can contribute to youth empowerment and peace building. Ladies and gentlemen, Undi 18 provides a platform for these young people to express their political beliefs. Nowadays, opinions can be expressed in many ways beyond verbal speaking. Truthfully, actions speak louder than words. Voting in this instance give a platform for these youth voices to be interpreted, indirectly empowering these young people and give them a sense of independence. Next, let's talk about how Undi 18 can boost the voter turnout. Undi 18 strengthened the involvement of the younger generations in supporting democracy and national development. These youth can contribute ideas, addressing the issues, and view problems from various of angles. It's meaningless to say that they are immature and they are ready to vote with much responsibility. It will also empower them by giving them the power to choose the ruler of the government in Malaysia. Last but not least, as mentioned before, voting will also opinions can be expressed in many ways, including voting. When you give the youth the power to vote, proper reforms can be done with the right leader who are willing to replace the outdated political attitude with real life issues that is faced by these youths. They will also be more comfortable to address their issues so that significant change can be made. This will also increase the popularity of political figure among the youth, indirectly rebuilding trust among the youth and the government.
Now, let's discuss about the methodology used in our research. Our first method is distributing Google Form to some 13 to 15 years old students coming from different ethnicities and backgrounds. The reason why we choose them as our respondents is because they will be able to vote and determine the direction of nation in another 5 years. From the results shown, we can conclude that these students are ready to cast their ballot in order to achieve peace building, and also this student has the value of sympathy and unity and believe that peace and harmony are the basic building blocks in Malaysia. Other than that, these students will contribute towards the increasing number of youth voters in the upcoming general election. Other than that, we also did a lot of literature reviews. For example, we did a lot of extensive researches about our topic, which is Undi 18.
Now let's convert our focus to what is the impact of Undi 18. The recent general election, which is general election 15, showed a lower percentage of voter turnout among the youth. However, Rome was the build day, and it starts now, and it starts with Undi 18. The first impact of Undi 18 is that it might alter a political party's pattern of campaigning. When you give this youth a platform to address their issues, this political party must take their issues seriously to draw these young people towards their party. Therefore, issues that might be ignored before can be emphasized in the future. Next, Undi 18 will also help these young people to make decisions wisely and maturely. The reason for this is these young people tend to look into social medias, websites, as well as channels to look into their candidate to ensure that they're eligible now for their votes. This will develop a good voting habit. This habit can also be petrified in other situations in their life. Next, Undi 18 will also increase your participation in politics. You need to understand that when you lower the age of voting to 18, you also lower the requirement age to compete for a chair in the parliament. Therefore, this will create more youth leaders, indirectly instilling confidence in these youth so that they can be the future leaders of Malaysia. Moving on, now I will explain to you some of our suggestions to increase the efficacy of Undi 18 implementation in our country. First and foremost, we would like to suggest the Ministry of Education to begin creating a school subject that specifically teach students about politics and voting system in Malaysia. And this subject must be compulsory for all students, especially those who are in secondary school. as it can help to increase their political literacy. Next, government and city organization has already launched several programs to increase awareness of youth towards Undi 18. For example, there are APR associate trainers, pendidikan pengundi program Arifin Negara School. These programs are great now, but the accessibility of this program must be enhanced for all young people from all backgrounds, including those who live in rural areas, as every young person in our country has the power to transform Malaysia into a great nation, and we should not leave any of them behind. So one of the ways that this could take is by conducting more in-person activities with adults who live in remote areas, as well as use social media as a platform to promote their campaigns online to further maximize the accessibility. To conclude our presentation for today, we want to call for all of you to gather hands in supporting Undi 18. Undi 18 plays a crucial role in youth empowerment and peace building in Malaysia. This saddens us to see that there are still disbelievers on Undi 18 in Malaysia. Truthfully, these youth will be the future leader of Malaysia and they will determine the fate of the nation. That's all from us. Thank you for listening.
Now, I would like to invite participants to ask questions.
Hello. How can you ensure that our young generation today is sufficiently politically aware to vote, given the fact that our generation today is very easily influenced in terms of culture, social media, trend, even in our fashion and food? Please clarify.
Um, Thank you for your question. We cannot always blame the social media for everything. Truthfully, the SPR themselves have reached out to the secondary students to taught them about this kind of situation. And yes, they might be affected um by the social media, but not all of them, because some of us have the knowledge to vote for the right thing and have the knowledge to vote the right candidate. So
Now, I would like to invite a judge for a question.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, ladies. Okay, that was a very enlightening presentation, but we have a question that piqued our interest. You are actually promoting Undi 18, correct? Okay, so basically you are doing that. Okay, so my question is that could you please enlighten us on the reason why your research is kept closed and limited to just students of 13 to 15-year-old teenagers instead of including those who are of the voting age as defined in the UNDI 18 itself? Because, this year, in fact, we had like two voting, correct? So I just need to, have your, feedback on that.
the reason why we choose 13 to 15 years old respondents is because we are focusing on the upcoming general election. So these students, by the time the by the time of the next general election, they are the 18 years old or the youngster that we vote for our country. So basically, we are focused on them.
Thank you for the magnificent presentation. Now let's hear from the fourth team from SBPI SABAK BERNAM to present.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to everyone. My name is Nisa and this is my friend Irfan, and today we will be representing SBPI Sabak Bernam for Frsis 2023 with our topic Equity Education for Gain Peaceful Horizon. So this is our conceptual map. We start off with the education system, then the access, the effect, the outcome, and the possible solution, and lastly the conclusion. Moving on to our objective. So our first objective is to prove why equal education is one of the factors toward peace building. The second one is to identify the problem with the current education system for equity. And lastly, to conclude whether education equity aim has succeeded or failed. So moving on to our methodology. So firstly, we had identified the problem, and then we conduct an interview and also survey, and then we also analyzed our data and also did some research. And lastly, we did some conclusion. So before we start off, let me tell you some of the keywords for our research. The first one is equity in education. This is when all students receive support and resources needed to achieve academic success regardless of their social economic status. And then the second one is peace education. This is the process acquiring values, knowledge, behavior, skills to live in harmony with oneself, others, and natural environment. So education equity leads to peace building. How exactly that happened? So the first one is the civic engagement. When individuals are educated, they can engage in peaceful processes and bring change to the society. And then the second one is a long-term perspective. Educated individual knows about the peace building effort and less likely to engage in violence. And then the third one is the economic development. When people get better education, they get better skill for better job, then it will increase the economy stability and reduce conflict. And then conflict prevention. The early sign of conflict potential can be identified by the equal education system. Thus, teachers and institutions can play their role to overcome that problem. That cultural and social norms. If there's any harmful cultural and social norm that perpetuate violence, the education can promote peace to the society. And the last one is the reduction of inequality. Unequal access to education may lead to social and economic disparities, which can escalate the tension within a society. So, what's the effect of equality? The first one is strengthen democracy. So, when the country has a better education, it will attract people to study at the country. Therefore, the relationship with other country will be enhanced. The second one, foster innovation and progress. So, when the country has a better education, people will love to study at the country and stay at the country. Thus, they can contribute in developing the country to become a better one. And lastly, global competitiveness. So, as a better country has a better education, it will have a better economy, so they can compete with other better countries. And then the effect of inequality. The first one is undermine social cohesion. So when the school for specific background, the people can be united. And then the second one, the waste human potential. So when the country has this standardized assessment and the student can't do well during the test, so they can't get better result. So they can't go to get a better education, so they can't get better job. And lastly, reduces innovation and competitiveness. So when the country doesn't have a better education, people will not love to stay at the country. So it will reduce the innovation and competitiveness at the country. Moving on to our survey findings, we have conducted survey to people with different backgrounds, and we found out that most of our respondents got higher education and some of them doesn't. Then we found out that most of our respondents think that why people doesn't get higher education is because of the high education fees. So, but other than that, people also think that people are unsure about their majors or future career, lack of motivation, and prefer to work rather than study. Also, the factors of why people doesn't get higher education. Moving on, most of our respondents think that the inequality in education is the problem with the current education system. Other than that, they also think that standardized assessment and lack of resources is also the problem with the current education system. That's all from me. Now I'll pass the presentation to Irfan.
Now, let's talk about the research summary. So what we found was we made something called the 5M model. Now, what is it? Okay, the first M stands for marketplace demands. The second M stands for mindset and confidence. The third M for motivation pathways. The fourth M for motivation and aspiration, and the fifth M is for monetary consent. So now let's put that in. Why do people get higher education? Marketplace demand. Now, you see in status quo, everybody would want higher paying jobs, right? So when they want higher paying jobs, they require higher education, be it doctor and maybe engineer. So then, let me take you to the second M, which is mindset and confidence. So basically, when you think that you want better job, think that higher education is important. That's about the mindset. Now, for motivation pathways, when you get higher education, you will be more open to more job opportunities, right? So the fourth M, motivation and aspiration. Maybe you had problems. Maybe you want family or you want self-improvement. That's why you want higher education. Now the fifth M, monetary consent. As a normal student and a normal human being, you would want money. And if you want more money, that means you need a better job. That means people think you need higher education. Oh, wait, sorry. So now, why do people don't get higher education? So first of all, from marketplace demands, right now, some jobs don't require for you to get higher education, but you can still get money from them. So the second M, for mindset and confidence, therefore, they don't think that they require higher education and no longer need it anymore. So this goes into the motivation pathways that there's other ways to succeed in life. Maybe you can invest, maybe you can trade, go into real estate, or any other thing. Then that goes into the fourth M, which is motivation and aspiration. So then maybe you had maybe you have a lack of motivation. Maybe you failed during the middle school and high school, but so you don't think you deserve education. And finally, monetary consent. If you get higher education without a scholarship, due to the fact that you didn't really do well during middle school and high school, then you wouldn't get if you couldn't get a scholarship, then you should have done it, and you would have done you would have made a debt. And then when you make debt with the education system, then it's gonna be amassing until you finish your college. And then finally people will be scared of it because of the amount of debt you have. Now finally the completion rate for everything. For education, we took the completion rate for education in primary school, secondary school, and also for higher education. We took the countries Malaysia, an upper middle class country, Uganda, India, and Switzerland. See, for Malaysia, an upper middle income country, the completion rate for primary school and secondary school are quite high. Other than that, you see Uganda and India, both are quite low income countries. Surprisingly, India has a high for primary completion primary school, but a low completion rate for secondary school and higher education. Now let's take a high income country like Switzerland. As you can see, all three primary school, secondary school, and higher education have a high completion rate. Now, what is our solution? Our solution comes from the government, which is a government program which is called K9 and K11 program. K9 and K11 program is basically a program where students sit in a certain school from standard 1 until Form 3 or Form 5 according to the program. It's usually used in rural areas. So what are the actions that we are going to take? The actions is, first, we're going to fix the institutions, we're going to maybe build new schools, and we're going to add new facilities. Then we're going to hone the teacher skills and make them give more better quality in teaching and can teach more students. And then finally, we're going to expand the comprehensive special model. This is summary. Finally, sometimes great things can fail. Why? Because of expenses, environment, and resources. The resources and expenses we need to make these schools are quite expensive, and it's hard to find because you need more resources for you to make school when there's from standard 1 until from 5. So how do we minimize this impact? First, we make sure we have enough funds, and then we use big data and time analytics, use Internet of Things, make sure that we have newest information about how do we actually make the school without any problem. And we also make sure that the location is desirable so people will come to the school and we wouldn't have any problem. Finally, conclude. High income countries provide more access to higher and better education. Actions taken by the government ultimately failed. Lack of access and higher costs are why usually people don't get higher education, and education equality concept is sadly a failure. So, from our presentation.
Now I would like to invite participants to ask questions. I would like to invite a judge to ask a question.
Okay, congratulations, boys and girls. Entertaining presentation. Okay, so my question is, do you believe that the current effort made by the government is insufficient in the support of improving our education in Malaysia? If so, why? And how does this relate to your presentation? Okay.
There's no such effort that would suffice to make education better. So we would strive for better education no matter how good our education is. So, what was the question again? Sorry, I'm very sorry. Hardly forgot. Sorry. Okay, so how it relates to our presentation is you're showing how the government is working on how many programs to make sure that the education is equal to everybody. Like you said, K9 and K11 program. See, the K9 and K11 program was supposed to be perfect. The problem was the cost. See, the cost for each day to study there was like 30 ringgit. But then it couldn't really confine with the poor family. Then it couldn't reach the equality that we wanted. Therefore, how it relates with our how the government's action relates back to our presentation. We are showing how no matter how hard we strive, we need to always strive for perfection, and the government will always strive for better education so our country will become a better place.
Thank you for the super presentation. Now I would like to invite the last group, the last school, which is Academy Science Pedang, to present.
Wait, hold on, Angie. I think you're getting a bit too ahead yourself. Youth are more than that. But before that, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. I bid to the panel of educators, wise timekeepers, and all the amazing audiences from this great hall. Ladies and gentlemen, standing here today, myself, Fatima Isara, Angela Francis, our technical manager, Daniel Darwish, our researcher, Aban Shah Abbas, and not to forget, our beloved mentor, Miss Karinisa, all the way from Academy Science Pendang Kedah, presenting to you the necessity of service learning in promoting youth as an agent of peace. So, Angie, why does social problems among youth occur? Wait, Angie, I still don't understand what you're trying to say here. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to propose to you service learning. So, what is service learning? Service learning is an educational approach that combines academic instruction with community service. Don't worry, let me simplify it for you. So, service learning involves the collaboration with the community by youth applying theories learned in the real world. This will open up the opportunities for youth for critical reflection from community identified content, and this will lead to the balance of the service and the learning. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, service learning combines community service and academic instruction. Now let's take a look at some of the example of service learning. First one, we have geography. By mapping indigenous lands and monitoring flora and fauna, students can gain insight on the importance of conservation for the very survival of indigenous communities. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us show you the involvement and the key components for service learning. There are three main key components for service learning. The first one, the program that is being carried out, then the meaningful service, and then opportunities for critical reflection. As for the involvement, there are three parties that are involved in service learning. Service learning is carried out by the students, they are being mentored by the teacher, and it is collaborated with the community partner. But Angie, how do we implement service learning, especially in secondary school? Well, thank you, Angie. We move on to phase 2, which is integrating the service learning in all extracurricular clubs. Now, it's also lasts for 2 to 3 years, and it is compulsory for the club to do at least 2 service learning activities, and they will also gain PAGSK mark. But most importantly here, all students will get equal opportunities to try out these service learning activities themselves. After phase 2 is a success, we move on to phase 3, which is integrating the service learning in KSSM subject in Malaysia. For now, it is compulsory for them to do at least 1 service learning activities, and there will be also equal opportunities for all the students, but this time, service learning will be in the form of formative assessment of respective subjects. No worries, let me show you the outcomes. According to a research, a set of questionnaires were given to service learners to test the outcomes of service learning. One of the questions include, did the service aspect of this course show you how you can become more involved in your community? And 79% of service learners said yes. Another question was, did the service aspect of this course help you to have a better understanding of your role as a community member? And 76% of service learners said yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this shows that service learners have a better understanding of their role as an agent of peace. Now, another research said that 64% of service learners were interested in community engagement, while only 49% of non-service learners were interested in community engagement. Another data conclude that 61% of service learners being able to respond to complex social issues compared to non-service learners by only 54%. Ladies and gentlemen, that I would like to give your
Now, I would like to invite any of the participants to ask questions to our presenters. Now I would like to ask the judges for questions to our presenters.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you very much for that entertaining and very energetic performance. Okay, a way to start to end the session for this evening. So I'm going to give you a question. My question is, what is the mechanism that you can think of to compel teachers to do the SL without damaging the integrity of the program themselves?
Thank you for the fantastic presentation. Thank you too to all the judges for your time.